there, community. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've been live, and it's been a long while since it's been me in the host chair. Welcome to DevCentral Connects. Boo is hanging out at AWS reInvent this week, chatting up with partners and other tremendous technical talent to learn about what's going on in the world of AWS and cloud and microservices and all those fancy fun things. And so I get to be in his chair today, and I'm excited because I get to talk to our distinguished engineer, Lori McVitie from the Office of the CTO. And, she started, I think, maybe a little bit, I'll ask her about it, but I think she started maybe a year or two before I did. She's been here quite a while. And her husband Don was on the team that I've been on. So the McVitie family's been part of the F5 family for a long time. So we'll get Lori on here in a second, but just wanted to wax nostalgic a little bit about this last couple of months on the team. We've been working hard with some things in the background. If you haven't been to a F5 Academy Roadshow yet, make sure if there's one that's in your area. I think we got a couple more weeks yet here in the Americas before the Roadshow goes international. But make sure you sign up for. I'll drop those in the comments here in a little bit later. The link to go sign up for that, because the Big IP Next it's GA for LTM and ASM, advanced WAF. It's that's out. Access and DNS and SSLO, are coming in the months to come. And so if you haven't started investigating or just reading about it, kicking the tires, get with your SEs. If you can't make a roadshow, we'll make the lab available, and we do have a group on DevCentral for people who've been to the roadshow, and we're going to get a great demo on December 12th from Luke Lehman, who is the product manager for Big IP Next Access. And so if you've gotten an invite to join the group because you've been to a roadshow but you haven't joined yet, make sure you do that. And so with that, let me bring on my guest for today, Lori McVitie. Lori, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am doing quite well. I'm like, these are all the weird months of the year, or the weird weeks of the year, right? You get through the long Thanksgiving break, and you're like, oh, well, Christmas is only a few weeks away, and we get a long break there too. And then we got New Year's, and then it kind of slows down for all the breaks in action. But lots of people taking PTO in this month, so it's a weird season on the work front, because you're used to like the Teams thing blowing up on a daily basis, and then it's silent for a while. It's like, whoa, what's going on
here? Yeah. Well, we're starting to get back SOAS data. So like I'm like this until, you're right, mid-December, and then I take off for 2 weeks. I just disappear, right? I got cookies to make and things to do and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's really frenetic because you're compressing everything into like short bursts of activity, and it gets crazy, and then it's like weird and quiet.
Yeah. Well, you're close to the lake and you're way north of Miami, so I don't even need to ask you if you've had your first snow, because
yes,
you've already had your first snow. We had our first snow Saturday night, and it's like one of those things where we've been down with family, and we weren't watching the forecast, and so it was like, whoa, it's snowing, and beautiful. We got like 3.5, 4 inches. It was so beautiful. It was like falling at night, and so with all the street lights and everything, it was just absolutely gorgeous. First snow. Which is great for me because I moved to Kansas City a few months ago. And so I lived in Illinois. I lived in the Teardrop of Sadness, right on the east side of the concrete island of St. Louis. And so the heat, whatever. Is that me? Am I buzzing? I think I'm buzzing.
You're buzzing.
Yep. So let me see if I can figure that out real quick so we don't have to listen to buzzing the whole time.
Well, I think that was the same snowstorm. So it snowed on Halloween, but it didn't stay. And Saturday night, it snowed again. We got about 2 inches. But we
Okay.
were driving back from Cincinnati and ran into it right near home and got caught behind a plow for about an hour.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I'm echoing. Yes, I'm hearing
Okay.
that. Echo.
I don't hear you echo on my end.
Hmm.
I'm hearing a little bit of buzz though, and I don't know if that's me or just feedback. Well, hopefully it won't be too bad. I can clean it up in post. If you don't want to watch this live, I can clean it up and resubmit. But yeah, let me switch mics and see if that's
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't echoing to begin with. Now it is.
okay.
So
Test
something.
1, 2, 3. My audio probably doesn't sound as clean, but is that better?
Well, I suppose I have to talk.
Yeah, maybe that's coming from you.
Hmm.
Here, let me
That
mute
would
myself
be
real quick. Mute and then.
all right. Let's test that. Yeah, no more echo. That's all you, Jason. That's you.
Okay, well, fantastic.
It's always something, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. We'll stick with internal, and I'll mute myself when I'm not talking, so people can hear you because they're not here to hear me. They're not here to hear what I have
Sure
to
they
say.
are.
They're here to hear what you have to say. And you know, I don't think I even introduced the topic that we were talking. I'm out of practice. What we're
No.
going to talk about is the technology outlook for 2024, right? And so
Mhm.
you wrote an article about that, and I will drop that in the
Mhm.
chat. So if you want to kind of give a look see while we're talking here. And there we go. Jose, hello. How are you? Welcome to the
Hi,
show.
Jose.
And MSZ Studio, how are you? Okay, so we're going to talk about the technology outlook, and
Mhm.
so just high level before we get into the conversation, what is 2024 looking like to you?
Long. Long and painful because I hate Python. All right. Um, so what
Yeah,
is the market looking like? That's a different question, right? So what it's looking like, I mean, AI, of course, right, is kind of overshadowing everything. It's there, it's looming. I feel like it's like the eye of Sauron, like, why are you not doing me yet? But right, I mean, under that shadow, if you will, are a whole bunch of different trends and technologies that are driving them. And in 2024, what we're seeing are things like eBPF, that is starting to drive a lot of product and a lot of activities out there. It's underpinning things like observability, which feeds into security, which feeds into surprise AI. So, I mean, it's one of those foundational technologies that has been gaining steam over 2023 and is really kind of jumping right into the fore of you need to pay attention to me now in 2024. GraphQL, which has been, again, steadily rising over 2023, but it's starting to gain more attention primarily because AI has kind of forced it, because AI is a lot of, I need my data, right? It's not just about the, GPT and being able to chat with it and its knowledge. I want to chat with my data.
Yeah.
Well, how do you do that? You have to, right? You have to get the data to kind of combine. So basically, you're in a developer, right? I mean, an integration exercise, and I need that data. So how do I get it? One of the ways that we're seeing is GraphQL is being used to be able to pick and choose, because it's very good at being able to give me exactly the data I want from multiple sources at the same time, right? So it's perfectly suited to pair with AI. So that's been rising as well. And we see it in things like security services and delivery and gateways, right? All of these different patterns are emerging. So we expect it to continue to rise in 2024. APIs, there's just going to be more of them, right? The whole AI thing, again, driving more APIs, right? That's how you're integrating all these different little agents and things, right? So APIs are pretty big. Yeah, I mean, no surprise there. What was the fourth one? There was four that I highlighted: APIs and DPUs. Yes, of course. The infrastructure renaissance, which I've been like talking about for over a year, going, hardware is going to be big again. And it is, right? It has to. In fact, one of the things I'm looking at is, okay, how is this demand for AI and the availability of things like DPUs and GPUs, right, actually going to affect supply chain for building products down the road, right? Because everybody wants them, right? And they're expensive, right? I mean, my new gaming PC, which should be arriving any moment, so I may disappear right off the stream live, like I'm gone, because so cool. I need it back. Right. But right. So I mean, consumers are going after them. And you've got business going after them. The hyperscalers want them, right? We see NVIDIA partnering with everybody to deliver all sorts of interesting things. So, right, that whole DPU, GPU, that whole space is going to continue to evolve because it's going to go beyond just GPUs. I think part of the reason we used GPUs was because they were there and they were really good at math, right? Okay. But DPUs are really good at data processing. And you've also got things like system on chips and, right, all sorts of different options for how you start delivering different services, different capabilities in conjunction with things like AI and APIs and all these things. So it's going to continue to evolve, and it continues to drive a lot of activity, acquisitions, funding, and products, which is kind of surprising after, about 10 years of kind of cloud and virtual, and there is no hardware, right? Being relevant. Suddenly it's like, bam, hardware's cool again. So,
which is totally ridiculous, right? Because I mean, none of the software works without hardware in the first place, and and you see these reactions. Like I just akin it to when I played soccer as a 5-year-old, right? And it's pretty much just magnet ball. It's like everybody, the whole team is following the ball, and it's like I see the industry, at least from a marketing perspective and maybe even a media perspective, and that we got a big shiny object, let's go look at that. But the hardware was never not important, right? And it's like finding your balance between going where the ball is and learning to play offense and defense. Maybe that analogy falls short a little bit now, as it's coming out of my mouth. But hardware and software are important, and I think that there's good use cases for commodity hardware, but there's also some really fantastic use cases for specialized hardware. And I think whether GPU, DPU, those things, SSL over the years, there's reason those things are in play. And so I see that. You mentioned in the article, the rise of AI SecOps, and so
sure.
let's go down the laundry list of we got NetOps, DevOps, GitOps, SecOps, DevOps, DevSecOps, and AI SecOps. What how do you put all that stuff together and delineate between all the star ops?
I don't. It's all ops in the end, right? I mean, the whole right, net ops and sec ops and whatever is just more attempts to keep siloing people into specific, right, roles and domains, right? And using AI sec ops was more my way of going, look, these things are converging, right? It's not just about security ops, which we've seen the cloudification of ops for about a year, right? We've seen all of that. Like, we're going to just do it in the cloud. We're going to do it as a service because it's faster. It detects things. It responds better. Okay, great. All right, all that. But right, you also need to be able to connect that to on-prem because we know hybrid is not going away. Told you so. It's so I love being able to say that, right? Hybrid was the way it's going to be. So you can't completely say, well, I'm just going to go all to right SaaS, or I'm going to go all to cloud, because right, you have to be able to support all these environments. So AI and the ability to orchestrate and control things via APIs, both on-prem, off-prem, in the cloud, SaaS, right? This whole combination is very important. And that's kind of what that AI SecOps is, right? All rolled up into right one term. Will it be a term? No, I never get to coin terms. I don't know why, but I never do. Nobody picks it up, so I've given up, right? So it was more, right, these things are converging, and we're going to see the impact on ops of right both security and AI kind of come together to create more mature practices, more automated practices, more reliance on services and AI to help actually do the job, because it's hard and it's big.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't really get hung up on names too much in that regard either. But it's like all the things, all the things ops.
Yes, all the things. Yes.
All right, question here from David. Welcome to the show, David. The real question is, will AI take over the ops? What does that mean for people who work in ops?
No, at least not now, right? I mean, I don't see a time when anyone will hand AI control over to anything, right? Except for mundane things, right?
Yeah.
15 years ago, we said, there is no way I'm going to let anything decide when to scale my service, right? You didn't do that. We went and we added things manually into the load balancer, or we pushed the button. We were never going to auto scale.
Right.
Auto scale's table stakes now, right? It's kind of a given. Like, I'm going to tell you some limits, some thresholds, and I just want you to scale up and down as you need to within those limits, right? And we expect that to be okay. AI is going to be able to do some of those, right, mundane things they can take over that we trust, that are well known, well understood, that have, right, well-defined parameters, right? So we know exactly what we're doing, right? If this link fails and there is zero traffic, right, go to this other place, right? This is pretty simple. We can go, all right, AI, we trust you to do that, right? But making decisions at, at the level of the business completely, or right, moving an entire site from one location to another, I don't, right? That's something that you still have to have someone who is responsible, accountable, right? Machines cannot be accountable or held responsible for the decisions that they suggest, right? A person still needs to be there. So ops is going to be more in the, I know how to do this, and I'm going to make sure AI does it right. I'm going to, right, govern, oversee, right, monitor, and then I'm going to come up with new ways to do more, right, things of value to the business, right? So it's more freeing up ops time. There's also the reality that, right, the pool of talent is shrinking, just because y'all haven't been having as many kids. We don't have as many people to train, right? And for some reason, right, they just, right, the number of people that actually go into technology, right, has always been limited. So one of the things ops becomes is more of that, right? I'm one person, but I have, 5 different, AI processes working for me, right? So you're managing that, right? But you're still directing it. You're still responsible. You're the one making the big decisions. And I think that's where we're going, is that role. And you've seen it with automation in general. This is just more advanced automation.
Yeah. Well, I think too that, I know there's a lot of fear out there, programmers like, well, this is writing code for me now. It's like, well, yes, it's giving you snippets, but you still have to make sure, one, the snippets will actually do what you want it to do. But also, it's skeleton code, right? It's like you still have to put all of the pieces together to make it do the function that you really want it to do. And I think it's the same with ops. It's augmenting your
Yeah.
job. It's replacing your job. Now, does that mean that company XYZ will need 15 operators? Maybe not. Maybe they only need 10, but they still need 10. And so, on the part of whether you're operations or a programmer or an analyst or or whatever, data scientist, all of those things. You just want to make sure you're up leveling your skills in the way that you can interact with all of these technologies so that you're still valuable
Mhm.
information when it comes time for them to say, hey, maybe we need less of you. But they're still going to need you. And I think there's going to be some mistakes along the way. Companies are going to over fire and then realize maybe we need some of that talent back. And so, I think that there's going to be, companies are going to learn as the employees within those companies are going to learn as the technologies themselves change. All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So, you honed in on 4 technologies driving the industry toward convergence. And again, those were eBPF,
Mhm.
API, GraphQL, which, by the way, I am not a fan of GraphQL. I don't like it. I kind of hate it. And it's just one of those necessary evils. And then DPUs. But why is MCN not on that list? You mentioned hybrid is hybrid not going away. I told you so. So square that with what MCN is on your list.
So, multi-cloud networking is a solution that is comprised of multiple different kinds of technologies, right? Under the covers, MCN is a whole bunch of different moving parts, right? That are come together to go multi-cloud networking. This is a solution that will make your life a lot easier because we know you're hybrid and you need to be able to move data and just connect and basically operate in multiple environments. So, and here's the thing, is it a trend that's rising? Yes, absolutely. But it's not a technology that's rising. So that's why it isn't on this list, because what I wanted to do was really, drive down into the technologies. Because as a technology company, it's nice to know the trends, but a lot of these are just buzzwords, right? Zero trust is rising too. What does that mean? Right? Well, what are the technologies that are being used, right? Application access, right? I mean, secure endpoints, all sorts of, these kinds of technologies might be in there. But, to say zero trust is going to be big is like, well, you can read that anywhere. You want to go out, right? Just look, right? It's kind of like too pablum, right? It doesn't really help anybody to know zero trust is going to be big, right?
Yeah.
But to know which technologies to start looking at, that is actually helpful.
Yeah.
In my opinion, of course.
Right. And that's fair. And so and we talked before we went live too. It's like multi-cloud networking is, I mean, it's cloud, and so it's in a different place. But being able to connect networks in a way that works for you is not something that we haven't been dealing with for 40 years. So it's maybe we're going to try and make it a little bit easier, but sometimes and sometimes as we're trying to make it easier, we make it far more complex initially, and then we find ways to abstract away the difficulty. So I know that MCN is still kind of, at least in a hybrid cloud environment, that's still in its infancy, and it'll get better. But not to tout F5 distributed cloud too highly, but that's one of those solutions within the underlying technology it's pretty compelling. And I don't know how deep you've dived into connecting the customer edges and regional edges to other customer edges, but it's pretty fantastic. It works pretty well.
Yeah, I've dug in quite a bit because I had to understand what it was, right? When I write about technology, even if I don't go into the details, if I don't know the details, I can't explain it to someone, right? You can't explain something you don't understand yourself. Well, you could, but then you'd be, an influencer on Twitter or something. I don't know. So, understanding it. So going into it, and yes, right. And what I'm seeing in the market is the rise of a lot of cross cloud solutions that are trying to be multi-cloud, right? They're almost there, but what most things are lacking is that on-premises piece,
Yeah.
right? And that was the piece I found most compelling. That's what I wanted to know is, okay, how did you do that? I can get the cross cloud. That's pretty easy to do. Actually, it's not the first time it's been done, but to actually hook into on premises as well. Now that's something special, right? And so, yeah, I dug in and I mean, that's cool. And you have to do all three, right? You have to be able to do multiple clouds and on-prem. And on-prem has no API. It's got no real standards for how do I, right, connect and provision, right? So how do you do that? It requires some thinking there. So it's one of the reasons I will go and yeah, no, this MCN thing is very cool. I like it.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of those things to where, to your point, it's like, well, if I have to configure my very proprietary on-prem stuff and my very proprietary public cloud stuff in 4 different places, trying to figure out all those nuts and bolts and bring cohesion to that is not an easy thing to do. But to have one, set of APIs that handle all of that for you, it's
Yes.
What didn't make your list for 2024 that might be on the horizon for 2025?
WebAssembly, which usually everybody asks about that, not MCN. So that's interesting. Yeah, I get what about WASM? Where is it? And WASM is definitely on the radar. It's something I keep paying attention to, and it has great potential and momentum, but nobody's been like, it's not driving markets or shaping them yet. It's just always like popping up and, hey, somebody did this thing. Somebody's building a standard. Somebody did this other thing. And X and Y and Z. So it's constantly getting a lot of attention and people are adopting it, finding new use cases, but it's not like right now, new products. So it's not driving the same kind of activity. That's coming, right? WASM is going to be a thing, and it's going to be important. But I think, it'll be late next year, 2025, before we see that. Other technologies. So passwordless kind of like snuck up and went like, bam, okay, like do this thing now, which was interesting. Again, it's not really a technology, that's more of a movement, right? Toward, hey, passkeys, FIDO, that kind of thing. And right now it's kind of riding alongside of traditional, right, mechanisms. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Most people want it because, I'm tired of passwords. I'm just tired.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah. I'm tired of resetting passwords. I'm tired of passwords, but I'm also tired of resetting passwords.
Yes.
Because I don't remember. Yes. I use a password manager, but sometimes I get lazy and I don't set one for a site. And then
and then you regret it. Yeah.
Getting to a password-less world cannot come fast enough. Well, I can't believe we're already at time. That's crazy. So, any parting thoughts on where you see us? Like how confident you are in your outlook for 2024. Are you going to take it on the chin on any of these 3 areas or 4 areas? Please tell me GraphQL is going to have a last minute, somebody else is going to dive in and solve that problem besides GraphQL.
Ooh, you can check back with me next year. I mean, I'll take it on the chin. That doesn't bother me. If that happens, don't think so though, right? I'm pretty confident in this because it's based on data and what's actually going on and right what's driving things. So, I'm pretty confident. But if it's wrong, I will come on and you can throw things virtually at my screen. Okay. All right. Deal.
All right. Well, I guess what you're saying is, Jason, you're going to have to pick up a GraphQL book and get started.
So. Yeah. I would. You know what? I had to learn Python. You can learn GraphQL. All right.
I guess that's fair.
Okay.
But I'm going to complain about it just as much.
That would be hard because I complain a lot about.
So what is your language of choice today? Is it still PHP?
That was kind of the thing is that, right, I haven't really been coding. This is actually the first time since, right, DevCentral and writing iRules and code, hooking big IPs up to Twitter, because that was a thing that I enjoyed doing. that I've actually written any kind of code for F5. So I'm like, what language there? Everybody's like, no, you got to use Python, right? We're
Yeah.
using LangChain and this and that. And I'm like, I have avoided learning Python forever. And now what you're saying. So,
Yeah.
right now, I guess that's my choice because that's basically what I'm coding, because
I know that's the
otherwise I try to
predominant one,
avoid it.
but I hear that Go is
Mhm.
ramping up fairly quickly in the data science
Mhm.
space, and so maybe it's not, but I'm hearing rumblings. So
Well, I'm going to ignore that because I don't, I know enough languages. I don't need, right? I don't need another
yeah,
one. That's,
yeah,
you know, I'd rather write in like C, C++. I'd be happy back there. That'd be fine. Um,
yeah.
it's my go-to,
I
but
got my
yeah.
I cut my teeth on C. I worked on embedded systems in college for railroad
Mm.
crossing control relay gate systems, and so that's where I cut my teeth. And I liked C. I never really embraced C++ because even in the Python world, object oriented programming, it's like like the unfrozen caveman lawyer character from Phil Hartman in the 90s. It's like the object oriented, those ways confuse me and all that. I can't mentally embrace object oriented programming, and I do it and it's fine, but it's just one of those things that's just like I don't like it. But anyway, we're over. We could talk all day because I always enjoy. You're always a great conversation. So thank you for joining me today, and have a great holiday season. And hopefully you got lots of turkey on Thanksgiving.
Yes, absolutely. Got lots of turkey. Looking forward to, I don't know, whatever it is we're going to eat for Christmas. I still haven't decided. So, but enjoy the snow. Thanks for having me. I always enjoy coming on and talking because this is always fun and great. I hope y'all have great holiday season coming up, and that I don't have to have virtual tomatoes thrown at me like next year. So,
Yeah. Yes, we will revisit
Mhm.
next year, or we'll
All
revisit
right.
this year next year. But I'm sure you're on target with all of that because I definitely there's much to be heard about all of those. We've had even we've already done bright boards around eBPF, and we had Joel Moses on to talk about DPUs, and so yeah, and of course we talk about APIs all the time. So the only one outstanding for me is the GraphQL, but we'll we'll see. All right, you have a
All
great week.
right. All
Take care.
right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. All right. Well, that's I always enjoy talking to Lori. She's so knowledgeable and insightful and funny, and so it's always a good time. Daniel, hey, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show that's about to end. But good to see you. And Daniel made a tower visit a couple weeks ago, and some of the team got to hang out with our MVP Daniel, and I was sad to have missed him, but. Thank you for joining today. Keep an eye on the YouTube DevCentral channel this week because, and LinkedIn, Boo will be dropping content as well from AWS reInvent. So stay tuned. A lot of great stuff coming from Boo out there and the rest of the team. Thank you so much for joining today, and we'll see you out there in the community. Take care, everyone.
Well, thanks for checking out that video. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. While you're down there, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. You might want to check out one of these videos over here. And if you haven't already, go check out community.f5.com. This is where all the DevCentral Connects hosts hang out, as well as the rest of the community. It's free to sign up, and we'll see you there.